All right, so today we're uh, diving into something pretty heavy,
Yeah.
the Heaven's Gate cult.
Yeah, this is one that's always fascinated me.
Right. And I think it's something that really sticks with people.
Hmm.
Active in the U.S., starting back in the 70s. So we're
Yeah.
going way back.
Wow. Yeah.
Their whole thing was about UFOs,
Right.
like hardcore belief that humans could evolve, you know,
Ascend to a higher level.
yeah, transcend their physical bodies and all that.
Exactly.
And this is where Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles come in.
Right. The leaders.
They basically presented themselves as these, like,
Almost biblical figures.
yeah,
Yeah.
leading their followers on this cosmic journey.
Which sadly ended in 97 with that mass suicide.
Right, 39 members.
All believing a spaceship was trailing the Hale-Bopp comet.
Their ticket to the next level.
It's just wild, you know?
Yeah, so the big question for us today is, how did they convince so many people?
Right. How did they get them to take their own lives based on this belief?
Yeah, and it's interesting because the research shows it was a very gradual process,
Yeah, it was subtle.
starting with little things like changing your diet,
Right. Small behavioral adjustments.
things you might not even question at first.
Exactly. And that's what's so fascinating about this.
Yeah.
The small changes were like an introduction to the group's norms.
It's like a psychological trick almost.
Yeah. Foot in the door, they call it.
Right. Agree to something small, and you're more likely to agree to something bigger later.
And that creates a bond, a reliance on the group.
Makes you think they know what's best for you.
Exactly.
And then comes the indoctrination.
Yeah. This is where things get really intense.
They basically painted this picture of the outside world as corrupt.
Right. Dangerous.
Everything we hold dear, like family emotions, individuality.
What's those obstacles?
Yeah, hindrances to spiritual advancement,
You had to shed your earthly attachments to reach that higher plane.
which is so messed up when you think about it.
Totally. And if we zoom out a bit, you can see how this us versus them narrative
Totally, yeah.
really strengthened that in-group identity.
Yeah. It made them more dependent on the group.
Right. And they used visual cues to reinforce this too.
Yeah, the matching clothes, haircuts, the new names.
All designed to strip away individual identities.
Wow, yeah.
Replaced with a collective one controlled by Applewhite and Nettles.
And of course, to solidify that control, they had to isolate them.
Oh, absolutely. Isolation was key.
They lived in these secluded places,
Yeah.
limited contact with the outside world,
No news, no opposing viewpoints allowed.
like a total echo chamber.
Yeah, your sources mentioned they spent years in Texas.
Right.
Then there was a resurgence in recruitment around 94,
Uh-huh.
and then they moved to California by 96.
So it seems like that isolation really deepened their bonds
I would say so.
and solidified their beliefs before they went out and got new members.
Yeah. And that move to California, the new recruitment efforts,
Like they were preparing for something.
potentially, yeah, maybe a shift in their timeline for departure.
Right. And then Hale-Bopp shows up in early 97.
That comet, yeah.
It only passes Earth every like 4,000 years.
Super rare event.
And that's when the rumors started about a spaceship trailing it.
Right, and for the Heaven's Gate folks, this was it.
The sign they'd been waiting for.
Confirmation of their beliefs.
Talk about how existing beliefs can warp your perception of reality.
Absolutely. They took this astronomical event
Yeah.
and made it fit their narrative, their cosmic trigger.
And that led to the mass suicide,
In 3 waves, they took that poison,
believing it would free their souls.
released them from their physical vehicles so they could board that spaceship.
That's so disturbing.
And those farewell videos they recorded,
Yeah, chilling.
it just shows how deeply they were indoctrinated.
They were completely convinced that they were on the verge of something huge.
So to recap,
Yeah.
they used gradual control, starting small, escalating to isolation.
It was all driven by this promise of ultimate salvation.
Yeah, full combination.
So what can we take away from all this?
Well, I think it highlights how easily we can be manipulated,
Yeah.
especially when we're isolated and looking for answers.
Right. It's a reminder to be critical of information.
And to be wary of groups that try to cut you off from the outside world.